Your 20s are supposed to be the time to hustle, explore, and build the foundation for your future. But here's the harsh reality: what you do with your money right now can set the stage for your entire life. Get it right, and you are on your way to financial freedom. Get it wrong, and you could be stuck with bad habits that haunt you for decades. So today, we are breaking down 5 financial mistakes to avoid in your 20s, and trust me, some of them might shock you. Let's dive in. Point 1. Ignoring the power of saving and investing early. First, let's talk about what feels too boring to care about: saving. And no, I'm not just talking about stashing away a few bucks for a rainy day. I'm talking about the power of compounding interest and how starting early can be your best wealth building tool. Here's the truth: if you don't invest in your future today, you could be leaving millions on the table by the time you hit 50. If you are in your 20s and you're not thinking about retirement yet, stop what you are doing and listen to this. Let's say you start investing just $200 a month at 7% annual return. By the time you're 60, you'd have over $500,000 without even breaking a sweat. Sounds good, right? So why are so many of us waiting? Because we feel invincible in our 20s. But let me ask you, are you really okay with working forever? It's not just about saving, it's about investing. Even small amounts early can build momentum you won't believe. But if you wait until your 30s or later, you'll have to play catch up with far less room to grow. Okay, so maybe you are thinking, I'll just figure it out later. But here's a fun fact: later is code for when it's way too late. Now, speaking of not investing in your future, let's talk about the next big mistake, one that could be silently draining your wallet. Point 2. Living above your means. It's the most common trap: living for the now. The Instagram-worthy lifestyle. The "I deserve this" mentality. Fancy dinners, designer clothes, exotic vacations. It feels amazing in the moment, doesn't it? But here's the problem: what's fun for today can become a financial nightmare for tomorrow. Most people in their 20s, especially with student loan debt hanging over their heads, don't realize they're sinking into the rat race by overspending. You've heard of keeping up with the Joneses, right? Well, in today's world, it's more like keeping up with the influencers. They're living in an alternate reality of sponsored posts and flashy spending, and you're watching it, feeling the pressure to match it. The problem is, most people's income doesn't scale with their spending. And when the paycheck doesn't cover the bills, it's credit cards to the rescue. That's when you dig yourself into a hole that can take years to climb out of. The average credit card interest rate: 20 to 25%. Look, you don't need a Louis Vuitton bag to show you're successful. A solid financial plan is way more fashionable. So, what if you want the lifestyle without the debt? Well, it all comes down to mastering the next point. It's a huge one. Point 3. Not understanding or managing debt. Debt is like that sneaky villain in a movie that shows up when you least expect it, and before you know it, you are trapped. The student loans, the car loans, the credit card debt, all of it adds up. But what most people don't realize is that not all debt is created equal. There's good debt, like mortgage debt or an investment loan, and bad debt, think high-interest credit cards or personal loans. But for most 20-somethings, it's the bad debt that sneaks up and bites you. The minimum payments might seem small, but over time, they add up, especially when interest is working against you. Do you know the true cost of carrying debt month to month? Let's say you owe $5,000 on a credit card with a 20% interest rate, and you only make the minimum payment. You could be paying off the debt for years, and end up paying well over $10,000 by the time it's done. Debt isn't sexy, and no one looks good wearing it. Imagine your financial future free of debt. It's possible, but it requires some serious choices today. Speaking of choices, let's talk about the next mistake, which is all about thinking you can wing it when it comes to financial planning. Point 4. Not having a budget. Alright, let's get real. Not having a budget is like trying to drive across the country without a map. You'll get somewhere, but you'll probably take a few detours and waste a lot of gas along the way. Here's the hard truth: every dollar counts. But if you're just whinging it, you're probably wasting money you didn't even know you had. Think about it. Do you know exactly how much you're spending on food each month? How about subscriptions, Netflix, gym memberships, Spotify? A budget isn't about restricting yourself, it's about taking control. It's a powerful tool that shows you where your money is going. It tells you, hey, you are spending way too much on takeout. Or, hey, it's time to finally save for that vacation or emergency fund. But don't worry, you don't need a degree in finance to make one. There are apps for that. Hello, technology. Now, speaking of saving, Not having an emergency fund is another huge financial pitfall. Point 5. Not having an emergency fund. Emergencies happen. It's not a matter of if, but when. And guess what? Your credit cards are not an emergency fund. Neither is your rich uncle, or the hope that the universe will somehow provide. Think about this: your car breaks down. You lose your job. A medical emergency. You need cash, right now. If you don't have an emergency fund, you're forced to scramble, either racking up more debt or draining your savings. Ideally, you should have 3 to 6 months worth of expenses saved up in a safe, accessible place. But even starting small is better than nothing. That safety net will give you the peace of mind to know you're prepared for life's curveballs. Here's a thought: what's scarier? Being caught in a crisis with no savings, or taking a few months to build that cushion? ACT 3, the path to financial freedom. Conclusion, cliffhanger. So, now you know the 5 biggest financial mistakes to avoid in your 20s. But here's the truth: avoiding these mistakes is only half the battle. To truly create the wealth you want, you need a strategy, a roadmap for your financial future. You need to start making smart choices today, before the habits you build now start to cost you big time. Want to know the key to actually building wealth, living a stress-free life, and reaching your financial goals faster? I'll tell you in the next video, so make sure you hit that subscribe button. Because the last thing you want is to be in your 30s thinking, what the heck was I doing in my 20s? Trust me, no one wants that. Thanks for watching. Let's make those dreams a reality, one smart choice at a time. Subscribe, and let's crush this together.